Hello dear CRAs and CRA aficionados. In today's video, I'm going to talk about why being a CRA is friggin' awesome. Hi, my name is Daniel Regan. I'm the owner of the CRACoach.com and provider of the ASAP CRA course. On this channel, I talk a lot about the challenges and tips and tricks around solving those problems as a CRA. And sometimes I just have some fun stories to share, and kind of this category is this video for today. I want to talk about why I think being a CRA is one of the, if not the most awesome jobs in the world. I mentioned in one of my other videos, right here, that you need to sign up for bonus points programs as a CRA for all your travel. So that's like the airlines, hotels, rental cars, anywhere you can sign up for a bonus points program. You definitely want to do that, and I explain why in the video right here. Now, another thing also kind of travel related is you get to spend a lot of time in pretty nice hotels, I have to say. At least that has been my experience. Of course, you're going to get the occasional one-off motel somewhere in the middle of nowhere, but in general, as a CRA, you stay in pretty nice hotels. I'm not even talking about you get to drop all your crap on the floor and you don't have to clean up yourself and you don't have to clean up after yourself, but just in general, nice hotels. I had a lot of monitoring in Seattle, and I really liked one of the Marriotts there, for example, where they have a nice lounge area on the, I forget, 19th floor or 29th floor, way up there anyway. And buffet, all you can eat, you just pick your stuff, you can grab drinks there, you can sit down, they have a wonderful panoramic view over downtown Seattle, and just being able to be in environments like that, I think personally, awesome. Now, another great thing that you get to experience as a CRA is pretty awesome food. I was just talking about Seattle seafood right there by the ocean. You get to eat a lot of really good food. I mean, especially in the US, what I like to do was using the Grubhub app to order food to the hotel, and of course filter for 4 to 5 star rating food. And to be honest, I mean, I have 3 kids. I would never blow $50 on a fancy dinner for myself, or $60. But as a CRA, and if it's part of my per diem, basically, my daily amount that I can spend on food, heck yeah, I'll do that. So you have many, many opportunities asking your sites, hey, what's a good restaurant that you know? They're the locals. They'll tell you the insider tips and where to go, where not to go. Then you have the Grubhub app opportunity, and then oftentimes the food at the hotels is really good. So same with airports. You're not required or restricted to grabbing a burger at Burger King or McDonald's at an airport. You can get yourself some really nice food there. So that's another beautiful perk of this job, is you're going to be eating a lot of good food. And I can tell you, my belly can tell you, yeah, that also has its negative side effects. But for the purpose of this video, great food is awesome. Next aspect is you're going to see a lot through your travel, a lot of cities. You're going to see a lot of your country, maybe neighboring countries, depending on where you monitor as a CRA. And you may know, if you've been following my channel, that I grew up in Germany. I'd like to clarify, because I get that question a lot. I am an American citizen, but when I was a baby, or I moved to the States. I was born in Germany, moved to the States as a baby, spent a couple of years on the East Coast up in Maine, in the vacation state, and then moved to Germany and grew up in Germany. And it was then 4 years ago that I moved back to the States. And for me personally, it was just a great opportunity to get to know my own country again. It was the first time I lived back in the States as an adult. And to me, it was just fascinating to be able to travel around my own country and to get to see how different Colorado, the state I live in, is compared to Phoenix, Arizona, especially in July, or up in Seattle, or beautiful Cascade Mountains in the background. You got Mount Rainier when you're driving back to the airport. You got a beautiful view of Mount Rainier, the volcano there. It rains a lot in Seattle, but what else is new? But that makes it much more lush and green. So on sunny days, it's beautiful there. And just getting to know different cities and what they're like, that to me personally was a huge perk. And I believe that's also one of the beautiful things about being a CRA. You really get to know your own country. Now, the next point I've talked about with Dan Sfera in some of his video interviews, I'll leave a link in the description to his channel here, is the fact that you get to drive a lot of pretty cool rental cars, especially after a while. Once you've been renting cars 3, 4 days a week for a certain amount of weeks, you have a certain volume of rentals with your rental car provider, and that gives you status. So with the company I was working for, we were always using National Rent-A-Car, and the status I got there after a while was, what do they call it, Emerald Executive, and that's pretty sweet. You get out of the airport into a shuttle to the rental car facility, and there's a special lane or 2 or 3 with these cars that are Emerald Executive cars, and they're the more upgraded cars, and you just pick one. You just walk up to it, the keys are inside, and you basically, when you want to drive off the lot, they just look at your driver's license, they know about your reservation, they open the gate, you're out, that's it. So that is really sweet, especially because if you've seen those interviews with Dan Sfera, I love being able to drive a Ford Mustang, a Dodge Charger, or a Ford F-150 pickup truck, and just have fun with those cars. But another aspect is also, if you're kind of in the market for a car and you're looking at those kinds of cars, you can test drive them while you need them for work, basically. So I figured out which kinds of cars I actually really liked best. I'm like 6'3". I'm not the smallest guy in the world. So there were certain cars that just felt nice and comfortable and I really liked. So that was cool. And another aspect, if you're kind of maybe looking into buying yourself a fancy fun car, like, oh, I want a Ford Mustang for myself, or I want a Charger for myself, is that you may save yourself a ton of money because you're driving those cars all the time anyway. Once you have status and those cars are accessible to you, you'll be driving those cars literally every week anyway, so you might save yourself the money of buying your own one, because what's the point if you want it for fun and you can drive them every week anyway? So that's another benefit of being a CRA. Now, something else that is kind of the positive flip side of something that is oftentimes more and more on the negative side of how CRAs look at this high-paced job where you got to be quick and fast and have 10,000 things to do, is that time flies. And to me personally, when I was 18, I got one of my first jobs ever, and I was working at a McDonald's drive-in. I was like, okay, did that job, and to this day, I can still remember my shifts at McDonald's, staring at that friggin' clock and how slowly time would pass. And that was just awful, awful, awful. And compared to being a CRA, where all of a sudden it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm in San Francisco, I mean, time just flies in this job. And to me, that's actually, with this backstory of having work experience where like every single second is just crawling and you're waiting for 8 hours to pass, compared to that, I'll take the job of a CRA any day, where time just flies and your challenge is more on the other end, is actually the day should have been longer and where the heck did this day go? Another really, really important topic to me personally in this whole industry of clinical research is that there is little to no discrimination, be it due to sex, male, female, or anything else that we have now, be it sexual orientation. I've never experienced any discrimination. There's hardly, and you're going to be hard pressed to find an industry that has more women working in it than in clinical research, and also has women in leadership positions. So sexual discrimination is something I've never experienced in this job, and to me, that's awesome. And same with sexual orientation. I, for example, had a boss in Germany who was gay, and I can tell you that was like the least important and most boring information that anybody in the entire team at that office of 600 people could ever have heard. It was like the most boring, unimportant thing in the world. Like, you're gay, so what? Doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Like, okay. And what is there anything important about that? No. And that's the kind of attitude that I just love in clinical research, is that really this equality. Nobody cares. Nobody's ever going to discriminate anybody in this industry for being gay or for being a woman or anything else. It's you do your work and you're good at it, and that's all we care about. And if you're a nice person, even better. And I'd like to add a personal note here, is that I grew up as the son of a single mom. So I myself experienced through my entire childhood and growing up that women, and that was in the mid 80s to mid 90s at least, often end up with the shorter end of the stick. And I was the kid of one of those moms who was a single mom trying to make a living, trying to make it work, barely ever able to go on any kind of vacation. I think we went on one vacation ever in my life because it was a financially tough situation. And so that's why I'm just very sensitized to this fact that women often still end up with a shorter end of the stick. And that is something that I just enjoy being in a natural environment in clinical research where that's just not a factor. Sexual discrimination is a no-go. And I even know funny stories of somebody who went to the United States for business travel within the company, and he was British, and he was just used to this British, oh, my love, my dear, and so forth and so on. And he actually had to do a retraining in the United States for sexual discrimination because he was saying my love and my dear to everybody. And he was completely dumbfounded at how that could trigger something. So cultural differences, there you go. But yeah, that is a factor that I really, really enjoy. And it really makes just for a, yeah, kind of more relaxed environment when it comes to that, at least as a woman, or if you're an ethnic minority or gay. If if you want an environment where really nobody cares at all about that, clinical research is where you want to go. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to discriminate, and you're going to be welcome with open arms. The only thing we're going to care about is, do you know what you're doing, and are you good at what you do, and are you a team player? Are you fun to work with? And the last point I want to mention, this has turned out to be a pretty long video. Last point I want to mention that I really love about this job is that it is inherently a self-development, self-improvement job. When you're doing this job, you as a human being are just going to grow. You're just going to grow and become bigger than you were before. You're not only going to just gain a broader and broader understanding of clinical research and how clinical trials work and how all these nuts and bolts work together to form this thing that is called clinical trials and clinical research. It's not only that you grow in your understanding there and your professional knowledge, but just as a human being, you're going to grow because you have to learn to be more organized. You have to learn, how can I do things more efficiently, to reflect on your own processes. As a CRA, if you don't do the ASAP CRA course, nobody is going to give you any tools to work with. They'll give you systems and CTMSs and EDCs and trip report systems, whatever. But nothing is going to be a tool for you as a CRA that helps you be faster and better. You have to develop those on your own then. And that is going to be something where you just naturally grow because you have to analyze your own way of doing your work and then take a step back and improve your approach and then try that out in the field and then see how that can be done better and quicker. And another aspect is communication. You're just going to have to learn how to become good at communicating, and in a way that helps you build relationships internally with your team, your manager, your colleagues, and external with your sites, and build those relationships. But it can't just be, hey, we're best friends, you're the monitor. You also have to be the person who keeps an eye open for potential fraud and those aspects of your job. So that makes it trickier to be able to communicate in a way that where your sites react to what you need. By the way, coincidentally, I have a video about that too, right here. And that also just makes you grow. You have to grow, and you have to develop your own skills further, and you just have to grow as a human being. And that to me is a very fascinating aspect of this job. I can't tell you how much working in this industry in these over 10 years has changed me personally. Just being more organized, more streamlined, and to me that's not an end to itself, being more organized, but if I'm more organized with the bulk of work I need to complete and I get it done in this time, well, then I have more free time. If instead of this time I just need this amount of time, this over here just became free time for me. So it's in your own self-interest to just become more efficient and quicker and better. And to me, at least personally, after 10 years of that in the business realm of my life, a lot of that has spilled over into my personal life. I've become way more organized and enjoy my personal life a lot more because of many of the things that I learned professionally during my CRA career and my entire career through clinical operations. Okay, this was a little bit longer of a video than usual, but there were a lot of points that all make this job awesome. I mean, if you look at all of that together, where do you find that in another job? It's an extraordinary job, and I haven't even mentioned the usual stuff of your spearheading clinical research. You're right at the front of research in this world, and you see, learn, and know stuff that the general public will either never learn if it's a failure or will learn years later when a drug goes to market. So it's just great working with those kinds of motivated people and fascinating people. I really love this industry. That's it for today's video. If you like what you see, as always, please like and subscribe. It costs you zero money. It's free, and it just helps these videos reach more people that might be interested in hearing these kinds of topics and seeing these videos. So if you'd like and subscribe, it'd really help me out a lot with my channel, and thank you very much for that. So I will see you again in the next video. You have a great day.